Hey there, welcome back to the Happy Homestead. I'm Amanda and we are back in the kitchen today. We've been in the garden for the last few videos. Plenty more garden footage to come as it ramps up. But today I'm going to do something and just kind of bring you along because this is something I've never done. I have let me just put the camera over here. I have 6.5 dozen of local farm fresh eggs from a local backyard farmer. Don't they look gorgeous? Not all of them are cleaned, and that was okay. But 6.5 dozen. And so my goal today is to freeze dry these eggs. Last year was the first year that we successfully water glassed a bunch of eggs, and I say a bunch, probably about 5 or 6 dozen, and it was great. I only had a few that were not so great that we just got rid of, but all in all, the water glassed eggs were perfect for kind of frying on the stove for breakfast, and I still plan to do that this year. But freeze drying eggs, from what I understand from others who have the Harvest Right freeze dryer, it's a game changer because you can certainly use it for like scrambled eggs, but you can also use it for baking or making mayonnaise, homemade mayonnaise, which is something that we do. And so I'm really excited to do this, right? The chickens are just kind of ramping up this spring and I got a good deal. So for 6.5 dozen, I paid $5 a dozen. So what was that? $32.50 I think I paid, and it was well worth it to a local backyard farmer. So I am going to get anywhere between 12 to 18 eggs in one of my Harvest Right freeze dryer trays. I'm gonna kind of basically open 12 to 18 eggs. I'm just gonna judge it into a large mixing bowl, whip them up, put them in the tray. Now, I've seen people do this on YouTube before, other homesteaders and food preservationists, I'll call them. They just stick them right into the freeze dryer. I have found in about 2 months that I've had my freeze dryer that I really like to pre-freeze my food as much as I can because it cuts down on the time that is being used, and my freezers are already running, so I'm not really using any extra energy. And for me, it's not even about the energy that's being used because there's plenty of people, again, on YouTube that have done the research. Is that the right word? I don't know if they've just analyzed it themselves with how much money of energy they're outputting when they're using the freeze dryer, and it's very minimal. So that's not what it's about for me. For me, it's loud. I don't care what anyone tells you. The machine is loud, and especially where we have it, which is our former dining room. We call it the pantry now. It's an open area, so it's not closed off. You can't close any doors, and it is loud. And my husband always makes his comment that he's walking into a 747 jet engine when it's on. So I try to be very mindful of when it's running. And so I'm always pre-freezing my food when possible. So I say all that because I'm gonna actually, get the eggs in the tray, and I bought these lids. So these lids snap on the tray like so, and then you can stack them, right? So then I can put them in the freezer, stack it, get another one on. And so it's a really great time saver for when I need to pre-freeze my items. And I can have things pre-frozen and ready to go even when another batch is already in the freeze dryer. So I'm gonna use my lids for the first time and stack these in the freezer. Once everything is frozen, maybe tomorrow or later tonight, we'll come back and we'll load the freeze dryer up. First, let's get some eggs cracking. Okay, so that's 12. I'm gonna scramble these up. We're gonna pour this in the tray and see if I'll need to add any more. lid this one up. Okay, so all 4 trays are full. I've already put 2 in the freezer. I'm gonna get these last 2 in. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up and we'll come back when everything is frozen and we're ready to load it into the freeze dryer. So my eggs are frozen. I just took them out of the deep freezer. I turned this on about 45 minutes ago just to really get it cold. I don't want to put my trays into a 50-degree freeze dryer if they're at 32 or below. So right now, this is at 15 degrees. It is time to load these in. Make sure you close the gasket really well. And close the drain valve. Hit continue. And it's going to begin the cycle. I will come back when everything is done. So we've been drying for 15 hours. I'm actually going to pause the machine, take the trays out. What I like to do is kind of feel around with in this case, the eggs. Maybe flip it just to make sure there are no cold spots. If you ever feel a cold spot, then it's not totally dry, which is not totally freeze-dried. So I'm gonna cancel. I've gotta open the drain valve. It's gonna be loud. So I want to basically flip this if I can, as much as possible. Close it back up, close the vent. And more dry time. The eggs are dry. It's been a full 19 hours that they were drying. So when I took them out and flipped them, that was at the 15-hour mark. I just went an additional 4, and I've been checking everything. And so you know, like I had mentioned, when it's dry, when you feel absolutely no cold spots, and that is exactly why I kind of came in and scooped and moved it all around, because I wanted to make sure there were no pockets, you know, with it kind of so compacted in the pan. I didn't want any pockets of cold where the air couldn't get to. The other way you can tell is you really just take a piece and it should kind of just crumble like a powder in your hands. Like that. So this feels pretty good to me. I really believe these are probably done. So what I'm gonna do is pour it all in my Vitamix, my high-speed blender. I'm gonna pulverize it into a powder, and then I've got some quart size, I think these are quart size Mylar bags with an oxygen absorber. I'm going to seal them shut, and they will be good for up to 25 years, which is crazy to think about. My goal is to not keep them for 25 years. My goal is to actually have these eggs last us all winter long. I plan on doing more of these as well as water glassing some eggs. So come this winter, I don't actually have to go buy any eggs, right? That's my thought process, so that in the spring when the eggs are the freshest and the most abundant and productive from the chickens, I can actually get a better deal on them, freeze dry them, water glass them, and be set for a longer term throughout the year. Now, the thing is, when you're doing this, you have to be certain that your blender, food processor, whatever it is you're going to use, is totally dry. I kind of went through and I've been feeling, I took a towel in there, because the last thing you want to do is introduce even a small droplet of water. All right, everything is done. I ended up with 2 bags, 2 Mylar bags that are sealed shut, and I actually put in 2 oxygen absorbers just because I got insurance. And I labeled them with the month and the year. So those are gonna go in our back stock. But I also put some in a jar here that we'll use up over the next few weeks or so. I'm gonna get everything cleaned up, but I will come back and I'm gonna cook up some eggs and maybe even do a taste test with my family and see if they notice a difference. I'm also gonna try to make some mayonnaise with this, so stay tuned. It's been a few days since we did our freeze-dried eggs. I've got them here. I actually haven't done anything with them yet, and there's 2 things that I'm gonna do today to kind of share with you and see how these worked out. And the first one is what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to make some homemade mayonnaise. So I got this recipe last year from Carolyn at the Homesteading Family, and it's a lacto-fermented homemade mayo. It is delicious. Now, mayonnaise is one of those things that when you buy it in the store, look at the ingredients. Usually it's atrocious, like, ugh, atrocious. There are some brands out there that you can get that are, you know, pretty simplistic, pretty minimal. By all means, choose those over those larger national mass-produced brands. But maybe 2023 is the year where you learn how to make your own mayonnaise. Very simple, I promise you. So it's, actually, before I go down that road, let's get my eggs hydrated first. I need 1 egg to make the mayonnaise, and then while it's hydrating, I can talk about the rest of this. All right, so to hydrate and get 1 egg, I'm gonna do it right in here. It's a 1-to-1 ratio, and it's 2 tablespoons powder to 2 tablespoons of water. So I'm first gonna get my egg powder. Seal that up. And 2 tablespoons of water. Now, like I said, this is the first time I'm doing this, so I'm actually really excited. I'm just gonna really mix that around. And it looks like egg, but I'm just gonna let that sit for a minute. And so the rest of the recipe, I'll be adding in about a teaspoon of Dijon mustard, some Redmond real salt, a good quality olive oil. You could use avocado oil also, or grapeseed oil. Avocado and grapeseed are much more neutral flavors. I prefer a really good olive oil though. We're gonna add in a little garlic powder, a little lemon juice, a little dried oregano, and the trick to have it lacto-fermented mayonnaise, which actually not only makes it more probiotic and healthy for you, but makes it last that much longer in the fridge, is a little bit of brine from a ferment. This is a lemon dill sauerkraut that I made, I don't know, sometime last year. I'm just gonna take some of the brine and put that in as well. But you can use any brine, any lacto-ferment brine that you have. Carolyn even talks about you can use leftover whey from yogurt making. So if you have not yet seen the video on where I show you how to make your own yogurt at home on your stovetop and in your oven, so easy, click above and that way you can see that process, and you can actually take some of that whey and put it in here as well. But you want some sort of lacto-fermentation brine to help ferment your mayonnaise. Now, if you don't have that, it's okay, skip it. It just means that your mayonnaise, you're gonna wanna use it within probably a week or two at the most. It just doesn't last as long, but it's still gonna be delicious. Okay, I think our egg is pretty hydrated. It smells like powdered egg. I don't know how this is gonna turn out. I haven't done it. So let's get this going. Ingredients here, as I usually do, but about a teaspoon of mustard. A pinch of Redmond real salt. You could do fresh herbs and you could choose whatever herbs you'd like. You could do dill, basil. This is a little bit of dried oregano. I actually don't have any garlic cloves in the house right now. I'd have to go harvest them from the garden. So I'm just gonna use a little bit of garlic powder. If I can get a little bit out. There we go. A splash of lemon juice. Again, I don't actually have any real lemons on hand. So about a teaspoon of lemon juice. And I'm gonna get my brine here. I have a rock. I use sometimes river rocks when I'm out of fermentation weights. Try and get some of the brine. There we go. And then we're gonna add about 1.25 cups of olive oil, and I don't want to mix anything up yet, right? We're going to use an immersion blender, which is why I'm doing this in a wide mouth mason jar. Again, eyeballing it. Okay, and so you can kind of see how the oil is certainly separate, right, from the egg. We're going to put the immersion blender in and keep it all the way on the bottom. And you're gonna start to see it turn white like mayonnaise, and then eventually it'll start growing, and then you can start kind of lifting and moving your immersion blender up and down. That's it. So easy, so beautiful. So I'm gonna leave this on the counter. I'm gonna cover it with a lid and leave it on the counter for about 6-ish hours or so. And what that's doing is you're actually fermenting your mayonnaise, right? We put that brine in with some of those cultures. And so now you're just gonna let the lacto fermentation process begin. And I know some of you want me to lick this, and I just can't do it. It smells really good, but I cannot eat mayonnaise like this on a spoon at 8 o'clock in the morning. I can't do it. So you'll have to wait till we actually use this. So far, I would say it was pretty successful to use our freeze-dried eggs to make the mayo. This is going to be a game changer throughout all of winter, right? Or any point in time we need some homemade mayonnaise. I don't have to use one of our eggs in the refrigerator. This is really going to make a difference. It is time for the taste test. So I've got my jar of freeze-dried eggs and one fresh egg. I have my cast iron skillet on the stove heating up. I put just a little bit of bacon grease down, and I'm going to make 2 scrambled eggs, right? Because when this rehydrates, Obviously, you're not going to have a yolk and a white. It's all kind of mixed together like scrambled eggs. And then I'll do that with the other one. I'll kind of mix that together. So the ratio, just like I had mentioned when I made mayonnaise, to rehydrate freeze-dried eggs for 1 egg is 2 tablespoons water, 2 tablespoons of the egg powder. Mix it together, leave it sit for a minute or two, and let it rehydrate. So I've already got my water here in a bowl. I'm gonna put the powder in and let that rehydrate. My kids are outside. My son knows that we're doing this, my daughter doesn't. So I'm gonna get this cooked so they don't know which is which, and then we'll do our taste test. Just make sure there's no moisture on my spoon. One, 2. Okay, so before I start cooking, the obvious difference you can tell in appearance, right? This is much more combined, much more integrated because it was a powder, right? Whereas this, it's very, very obvious to still see a white versus a broken yolk, no matter probably how much I whisk it. You will still see some white. So there is an obvious difference just looking at it. Okay, I'm gonna cook the real egg first. Still gonna put just a little salt and pepper like I normally would anyway. And I'm just gonna put the letter A on the bottom of this. This is like a dry erase pen. And A is going to be the real egg. This is the freeze-dried egg. Just take a breath. I need 60 seconds. Just take a breath and calm down. Okay, so my daughter's here and she is gonna see if she can tell which is which. I want you to take one bite of each and tell me which is the freeze-dried egg and which is the regular egg. And which one you like better.
Not freeze-dried. Freeze-dried.
Which is which? Well, first, which one do you like better?
I like this one.
Okay, and so which one's freeze-dried?
Freeze-dried.
Okay, thank you for your vote. I'm gonna try. Now, I know which is which, but I'm still gonna taste it. Honestly, the freeze-dried egg tastes very similar to the fresh egg. I notice a difference in how they look, but taste-wise, if I wasn't knowing that I was comparing something, right, I probably wouldn't have noticed a difference. It's pretty good.
I already can tell which one's which.
Okay, well, I need you to tell me, taste both, tell me which one you like and which one you think is freeze-dried.
Freeze-dried, normal.
Okay, thank you for your vote. Which one do you like better?
I like this one.
So you want to know the results?
Yep.
Cole, you were correct. Harper, that's the freeze-dried one. But you liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it tastes good.
Uh,
Did you think the freeze-dried one was bad, Cole?
it was good. I just like this one better.
You can have that, some of that. Thanks for joining on the journey today with freeze-drying some eggs. Stay healthy, stay well. Bye-bye.